The ruined keep is a simple stone structure, high up on a cliff overlooking a small harbour. Hawks fly lazily above the keep as steady rain falls, making the stone glisten. The sky is grey. The sky is always grey. It is always raining. Occasionally, people have seen sunlight peeking out from the clouds, or stars in a gap of the sky at night. Not now. On the horizon is a deep purple-black line of heavy thunderclouds. You are standing on the pier, waves crashing against the side, and salt spray in your face. A steady wind ruffles Zamar's cloak with a snap as Horathia looms over the group, watching as the golden spike, a sharply lined cutter, is being prepared. Meanwhile, Ilithia is looking bedraggled and slightly muddy still. And Adalbert has something he probably will want to talk to you about once he's done his roles. We need to cover the investigation with Ilithia's help and Galila. So that's where we're going to pick up the session. So Adalbert, if you'd like to all unmute yourselves, you have a investigation roll to make. And I'd actually like Ilithia, as you're helping, to do a Arcana roll as well.
Okay. Hold on. I've not tested my my dice tonight. I don't know which one's going to be on my hand. Yep, this one doesn't like me.
That's super important. You should really do that before we start.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So that's a 8. I'm not using that one tonight.
Okay.
Investigation was 21.
21, nice. Okay. So the first thing to note is that the digestive system of this creature is relatively normal. It eats a wide variety of smaller, looks like crustacean type creatures with very similar carapace as the one that it has. Its mandibles and pincers are extremely sharp, and it looks like it has the strength to crush through that kind of substance. The thing that does pique your interest, though, which is what interested Ilithia as well, although it foxed you, Ilithia, is there's something that is not physical about this creature. So you immediately start getting suspicious that it has a Arcana link, which is why Ilithia did the roll. So Adalbert, it's worth you checking it out as well. Now you can use an esoteric roll if you wish, but that would be one for today, so bear that in mind.
Arcana's quite good, so I'll probably stick with Arcana.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
18.
Okay. So you've probably delved into this area a bit more than Ilithia has, because it's not corruption related, but it is on a similar area. This creature is definitely magical, and it's magical in the sense that its transportation is probably unique. So it doesn't just use its legs for movement, it has other abilities that are related to shadow magic.
Do I know much about shadow magic?
You know broadly, because you have quite a cross section of knowledge. But
I am very clever.
And you're very clever. But specifically, you haven't gone into it in great detail. You just know that there's a shadow plane that you can use for movement and things like that.
Would I have changed into the animal in order to like help Adalbert?
That wouldn't give you that kind of ability anyway.
Okay. Fine. So it's just using my like knowledge of nature and animals and planty things.
Yeah, I mean, you could have changed into it to give Adalbert some indication of movement and things, but I don't know whether he wanted you to. That's kind of again, you'd be burning a wild shape for today, so it's up to you.
Ideally not, but it depends on what Adalbert needs.
No, I think when I asked last week, well, a few hours ago, you said that without seeing a live one, you wouldn't be able to mimic the movement perfectly. So I think we said save your abilities.
Grand.
The question kind of I have as Adalbert, do I think the Shadow Realm was a similar place to the rings that we all now have, where the spears come from?
No, you don't think that's related.
Okay. So we finished dissecting the creature Galilla found for us, and it's quite remarkable in its own way. A crustacean, as it would appear, sharp pincers, carnivorous, eating smaller crustaceans, but it had an arcane energy about it. This isn't a magical creature, I think. Links to the shadow plane to aid and develop its movement. I think it's quite something that Galilla was able to capture in the first place.
What prey is the shadow plane? Is it a flat surface?
No, it's not an area I am that familiar with. I mean, hard as it may be to believe, there are some things I don't know. But the shadow plane, we live in what one might call the mortal plane. Our world is its own. What we see, is all in our physical realm. The shadow plane, in a sense, is a different, the same as our world, but through darkness and shadows. I think.
Is connected to your god's worlds? Is this the world that gods move in as well?
Is this where corruption comes from?
That's the important question. Is it the same thing?
It's not the same thing. Whether they're connected, to my knowledge, there is no research currently, but I can send word and ask people who would know more than I.
So if they're connected to this shadow place, then they ain't to do with the Forgotten Tribe and all that bollocks.
Not necessarily, no.
So what are they doing here?
Well, indeed, I think it's unusual that magical creatures are around in the first place. They're not common, as we know.
Everything comes from the shadow plane. Is that what you're saying? It comes from another realm.
It has access, at least.
Have you ever...
Just as we... Oh, sorry, Ellie, go ahead.
Have you ever dissected or looked at one of these corrupted creatures? Is there anything that's similar with regards to that, the access that they might have? Because they seem to be driven by an external force.
You're absolutely right. I suppose, as you saw when when that sea serpent attacked us, although it affected the scales, when we dissected it, and here Adalbert kind of swishes his lovely sea serpent cloak to catch the light.
It's quite windy, and it immediately catches the cloak and sort of goes out almost horizontal for a flutter, and then comes back down again.
When we dissected the serpent, it was still a serpent. The corruption had gone through it, had stained it and corrupted it, but
I remember.
it didn't change the matter of the creature.
Okay, so we have a magical creature. We don't know where it is. Looks like it comes from the shadow plane. Maybe you said it was something to do with moving.
Yes, whether it comes from the shadow plane, I suppose. Just as Ellie, we are able to tap into magic, and that's in part due to gifts and blessings from gods. Sometimes in part due to innate ability. It can be hereditary, but it isn't unique to humans. All living creatures have the ability, or at least the capacity, to interact with magic.
Well,
There's more of these as well, right? Isn't that what Dulila said?
Yes.
I thought you needed to study to use magic. That don't make no sense.
You do, but you have to be able to channel. Magic isn't reading the words off a book. It isn't just drawing an image in the sky. It's understanding the flow of energy. It's understanding the essence of beings. When I took the corruption away from the rings, it's very different to removing corruption from a living being. You have to understand the essence of the item, the essence of the human, and the way you chant, the way you interact adapts to the item, to the essence, and that's the innate part of magic. It's that understanding. It's that link.
Did you
So,
say? Nah, go on.
so,
That make no sense.
no. I'll explain. So you know how you're good at swords and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know how there's like other people who might have practiced for ages with swords, but they're not as good as you.
Right. That's like
So-
most people.
Well, that's exactly the same thing. You've got that ability, and so therefore, with your practice, then you're able to do better, and you're able to make the most of it. But you had that within you to begin with, and some people, they can practice their whole lives, and they won't be very good at it.
All right. But Bugs, she's saying that they practice magic so they can use it. I mean, they're studying books and shit, are they?
No, I just imagine their innate ability is stronger. Their link to magic, the essence of their connection is much stronger.
All right, fine. What does this mean? I mean, what the fuck are we going to do about it?
We should catch one and not kill it.
Fine, well, we
Yes.
ain't doing that now because we've got a job to do.
indeed,
Afterwards.
I am getting wet standing here on this forsaken pier. Can we at least get on the boat and get going?
And be wet on the boat, of course.
Well, at least it'll be the spray in my face, and the lovely coast, and those disgusting thunderheads in the distance.
Yes.
So, Simon, can I ask a question out of character?
Sure.
I had Serto working on finding any information about Lady Manoa before we left, hopefully. Has he come up with anything?
It's only been a couple of hours, so not yet, no. Nobody within the keep is aware of that name or knows any information that could be useful, but he's obviously going to spread the word and get information from further afield.
Okay, fair enough. The other point is just we've got ships going north and south,
Yeah.
and I want to make sure that they won't have pigeons in order to send the message back so we
Okay.
can inform Serene as we've agreed.
All
I
right.
wish I could make a pigeon noise at this
should
point.
probably ask Zamar. He's the pigeon man.
What about? Why is that? Why do you consider me the pigeon man?
Be-
Come on now,
because
man. Speak up. What
You
is it?
deal with the pigeons.
I deal with a pigeon. Oh, maybe. I'm going on the boat. I turn around and get on the boat.
All right, so next to the pier is a cutter, which is a relatively small, very lean, low ship. So you're effectively stepping off the pier down onto the deck. It's got a narrow railing around the edge, and and a simple little, almost a hut with a ladder that you go down in at the back. And apart from that and the mast, there's not much on the deck. The sailors are all dressed in this kind of very dark canvas-looking cloaks and hoods that are covered in an oily substance that the water just goes straight off. And the captain is just hanging on to the main mast, leaning against it, watching, occasionally shouting orders. But as soon as you get on, Zamar, she moves her fingers in a circular motion, and immediately the crew start preparing to push off.
I'll talk to the captain. South, please. Apparently the pigeons have decided to...
We best hold on.
You best get on if you're coming.
The captain spits on the ground, and there's a smudge of something black lands on the deck and then spreads in the water.
Oh, do you have more of your herbs, Amelia?
Hello.
I'm busy. And she heads off in the opposite direction. So you go on board. So I'm assuming everyone goes on board. Each time you do, the deck rocks from your movement. It's quite a light ship. And it starts pushing off, and the sails are cracking down and becoming taut in the wind.
I am going straight to the front and grabbing onto the side.
Okay.
I'm going to work out. Can I figure out which side's going to? I'll grab one side and hope that it's the right one.
It's an intelligence check with a very low DC because you've done it quite a few times now.
Yeah. Yikes! Oh, that was a good start. Let's see.
Yeah, I think
9. I'm afraid.
I think even Rathir will decide to pick a side. And do I get the same check? Just
Well, if you're just picking one randomly, then no.
I go to the starboard side.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go on the side that's away from the wind. No, into the wind.
The wind is coming directly into the harbour at the moment, so it's a bit hard to. Yeah. There is no side.
Who cares? Pick a side. In fact, these strap things that they're using.
Yeah.
Do they require a special connector, or do they just go on any old belt?
They go on. They would just clip onto a belt, so you could just do that.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay. All right, Alithia, Adalbert?
I don't have a belt. I've just got a sash. So I'm gonna just kind of like hook my arms round and try and clamber into one of the straps. I pick at random.
All right. Adalbert?
I'll do the same as... Well, is there enough time for me to dash to the hold?
Yeah.
Before they... I'm just going to go and just kind of climb down as much as I can to cling onto the ladder until it stops moving drastically.
All right. And which side did you go to, Horatio?
The opposite side to Zamar.
So one of you is going to... Well, Zamar picked correctly, so you're going to have to...
Oh my god, that's I was actually... Given my roll was only 9, I was actually trying to pick the wrong side.
You're going to have to roll a dex saving throw, Horatio, but you have advantage because you're grabbing the side. So.
Yeah, that's well safe. So saving throw modifier.
Yeah.
So 20, dirty.
Okay. So as the ship gets underway, you are familiar with a sudden shift as the sails catch the wind, and the crew aggressively pull the ropes taut and deliberately get the jib in so that as much wind is taken in by the sails as possible, although you are sailing into the wind. So you're actually going at an angle straight away. And as the wind catches, the ship flips to a 30-degree angle. And some of the crew are a little bit slow, but they all managed to grab hold of their straps, and they're all hooking onto their belts. Horatio, meanwhile, you're so big you just clamped your hands on both sides and like rolled with the movement, and you're fine. the others, you're on the correct side, so all the other sailors have joined you, and you're kind of leaning against the side as it flips over, so you're fine. And quickly the ship gets underway. You notice that it's actually going quite a bit faster than it was before. It seems like the crew have been training hard to try and get the most out of this ship. And as the harbour leaves...
What was the captain's name again?
Amelia.
Amelia, that was it. Sorry.
As you leave the harbour behind, you are heading out towards this dark storm cloud.
Well, I guess we're here for a few hours yet.
Yeah, why has there always got to be a fucking storm? Does it look natural?
Roll nature.
No, I'm not even going to bother. I don't care.
Can I?
Rhetorical question.
When he says that, can I check?
So the player said, "Does it look natural?" Herathia,
Okay.
well, I'm assuming Herathia didn't talk to himself.
No, that was,
Okay,
that was
fine.
me, the player. Yeah,
Fine.
sorry.
Yeah,
No
got
worries.
to that stage of insanity. So.
I could pitch my voice up a bit more, but it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Fine.
He must
Okay.
walk to himself.
There is nothing that has made you suspicious so far. It looks natural enough that you haven't paid any attention to it, Olivia.
Is there any sign of the sun?
No. It is also you've got a few hours to dusk at this point.
I'm gonna make sure marzipan is tucked away and warm and not getting wet.
Okay, you should probably introduce Marzipan to the audience because we didn't cover him last time.
So as part of my tunic, it's got a high neck, but a neck that's got a bit of a cowl on it, and on that there seems to be a pockety sort of area, and within that pocket area there's a tiny wiggling little nose and furry white skin and big beady black eyes, and there is a little sugar glider as this big that's got kind of creamy white fur and a brown streak across the top, and it wiggles around and but sleeps a lot during the day. Yeah.
All right. So you're making sure that they are hidden away from the rain. Meanwhile, you're going to have a bit of a journey. So while the golden spike slams into the waves and then climbs again, and slams into the waves and climbs again, and skims as much as possible across the top, is there any conversations you want to have?
Yes. So I went below deck straight away, and I've set up my little safe space. I cast light on a barrel, so it's a nice amount of light underneath as usual.
Okay.
I'll stretch myself up a hammock. And can I message Ellie to join me downstairs?
Sure.
Please.
So Ellie, you get a voice in your head.
What is the voice saying?
Ellie, can you join me below deck? I'd like to talk to you more about that creature, if we may.
Oh yes, of course. I'll be right down. And I'll run down as best as I'm able.
Okay. Roll dexterity.
Well, that's very good. 20.
Okay.
30.
As you're heading towards the little hut at the back of the cutter, the ship rolls quite heavily, and you push off, and sort of in the mid of that roll, you're mid-air, and then you land and skid onto the ladder, and then climb down like you've been doing it for years.
Okay. Yep. So I'll come down. And when I meet Bertie, I'll be like, "Oh, Bertie, I forgot to give you this before. You know, every night I give you the berries just in case. But I
Yes.
forgot yesterday, so here you go, 15 berries.
Thank you very much.
You're a bit
put them in
squishy.
my pack.
I think you'll need them. You're a bit squishy, still.
Yes, thank you, Ellie. Speaking of squishy, delicate, beautiful things, is there the crown you made me? Is there a way you can preserve the flowers so they don't die?
No.
I think I look jolly good.
Well, I can make you new ones. We can have like different styles and fashions dependent on the weather. So you can have like an autumn collection and a spring collection.
Well, the autumn collection would, I think, suit me quite well. Red, obviously, and the golds. I do like gold. That'd be lovely. Thank you. But that isn't what I brought you down for. The crab creature.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to the others. All beings, great and small, have the essence of magic, but I've never actually come across a magical creature before, one that can manifest that. And this is, at least animals is more your area of expertise. And I was just wondering, have you?
Meta question. DM, have I?
Have you what? Sorry, I was.
Come across magical creatures. I feel like marzipan's a little bit magical, but I don't know if that's wishful thinking.
No, you haven't. No.
Okay, well, I think marzipan's pretty magical. You know, like he can do all sorts of things, like fly, and he can listen to me, and he can do tricks and things. So yeah, I think I have come across them.
Well, marzipan's definitely special, but his flying that's by nature's design. These crabs could move from our realm to the shadow realm, I think, just to travel the world. And the fact that I haven't come across these before in reality, the fact that you haven't, makes me wonder, is what's changed? What's bringing these to the forefront?
Are they from the shadow realm, do you think?
Well, I don't know. They're crustaceans by all accounts. They're large crustaceans, but the anatomy is the same. The digestive system's the same. The carapace, it's all very our realm, but they're just more in touch with that magical essence. I'd like to know where they did come from, because I suppose my thoughts, something like that wouldn't come out, and yes, of its own accord. So I think when we get back, we should do some tracking with Kalela and see where they come from.
There was a footprint, remember?
Yes, again, just the one, which is odd.
It's almost as if they kind of might have jumped off somewhere. Maybe they've gone through the shadow realm too, because they don't have to move then.
That is a very clever thought.
All right.
I hadn't thought of that.
Meanwhile, up on the deck, what are Garcia and Zema doing?
Zema's going to, Chris, you're muted. Zema's going to read, sort of, while he's hanging onto the... Horathia, I hope you're enjoying yourself down there. It's much more pleasant up here, but if you have a moment, we should... there's something I would like to point out ahead. Perhaps you'd care to join me on the top half of the boat?
All right. Yes. They'll stamp across to where Zema is.
I was about to stretch out my hand, and I think better of it and put it back inside my
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah, obviously the deck is at quite an angle, so you'll need to do an athletics roll to get to the top. But it's a low DC, it's quite easy.
12.
What was that, sorry?
12.
12. Yeah. You scramble up easily enough and join Zoma.
Well, while we're up here and we're making good progress, I think I should point out I studied the maps before we were leaving. There was only maybe 3 or 4 places where the boat could have shored up, given that it was holed in an area. Perhaps, I can't remember if the Serene said it was below the water line or not, but if the ship was damaged badly, then there is maybe 2 or 3 coves up here. Like, we've passed the first one here, but there are maybe 2 or 3 more ahead. And I think beyond that, they would have been having trouble to either make in the distance or to...
Serene didn't exactly tell us exactly where they met it originally, did they?
No, she said that they were going to make for the coast, but...
And it was probably south, so it could be under a mile away, couldn't it?
Well, I think that we will be there relatively quickly, perhaps within a few hours. And this is my point. If it turns out that the boat is within the next 4 coves, according to the map and the studies that I've been looking at, it would seem that we would meet there probably just before dusk. So I don't know how you feel about that, whether we want to go and investigate a boat as it's approaching dusk. Simon, what time do we think that let's say it's like 4 coves away, given the speed that we're going at, what time would it take us to get there?
You'd arrive somewhere between 6:30 probably, so it would be falling dark, but maybe there'll be still some light.
Yeah. So if we arrive, we either want to arrive in darkness or we want to use the dusk to our advantage. I'm not sure. Perhaps I just thought I should point this out. If we were going to, I don't know, have any kind of tactics going in and approaching this unknown vessel.
It seems if you don't want to be noticed, the best time to go is when it's dark.
So should we see if the boat appears and then shore up? If we see it, what should we do if we see it before it gets dark?
Boy, Amelia,
What?
how close do you reckon you can get without being seen?
On here? Or you want to use the sneak boat?
Well, I'll have a look around at what the sea's doing. I mean, is it normal? Is it rough? What is it?
It's normal rough for this time of year. So the waves aren't as bad as they have been recently, but they're still pretty choppy.
All right. Can it cope with this kind of swell?
If you're going to a cove, yeah, should be right.
All right. Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. In which case, depends how much you want to use it. If you want to use it flipped, or just go with it normal. If you keep your head down, then you should be pretty hidden.
That is excellent. I do not intend to go underwater or anywhere near the water today, if possible.
Thought not.
Yes.
All right. So seems like we hang around a bit far out from the first place we get to, wait till dusk, and then take your secret little boat in.
All right.
Okay, I will keep watch and let you know if I spot the boat.
Of course, if they're working 24 hours, I don't even know if this world has 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much.
If they're working round the clock to get the thing ready, then chances are they'll have some sort of light. We might be able to see them from a distance.
All right, I'll get the crew to keep an eye out as well. And she spits on the deck.
I'm going to take out my telescope and I'll just spend the remaining part of the voyage scanning the coves, looking for anything like wreckage as well, in case they've come up against the cliffs or something like that.
Garcia's going to go down to speak to Paddlebear.
Okay.
Stomp, stomp, stomp.
Oh, Garcia, you have some berries too. Here's 10.
It just stuffs them in a pouch. So, Aldri, I've got a question for you.
Hmm.
You said that the Huntress warned you that Serene objectives might clash with yours.
Yes.
But Serene said that the Huntress was telling her to find this lady. What gives? Is she giving different instructions that clash to different people who worship her? That don't make no fucking sense.
My goals aren't always the Huntress's. I am my own elf.
All right. So you got goals that clash with your Huntress, bitch.
Just considering she's the patron of our entire company, I thought you might perhaps deal with her with slightly more respect. But you're right in the confusion. If my goals were truly against hers, why would she warn me? Why would she still support me? Why would she still talk to me?
Serene is corrupted, remember? So I
Almost,
really
not
trust-
quite.
No,
This
I
is
said
it.
corrupted, remember?
Yes, but she's not. That's the issue. There are elements there, but she's not quite corrupted.
Oh.
I think she's been cleansed by Alma, but is getting herself into it. And this is it. While she follows, the only thing I can think of is while she follows the instructions of the Huntress, perhaps her method in doing so is not quite what one might hope for. I think you've got a good point, Harathi, and I don't know. And the Huntress of all beings doesn't give answers. She leaves you with questions, again promoting our free will, our sense of self. So
She gives her answers.
she will help us find Doreen and the others and support them. But yes. I feel like I'll know the answer when I see it, Harathi, but I can't give you more than that.
All right. You got your Hall of Whispers ready.
Yes.
Chances are we're going to need it. And if you can ask her a question, ask her what it is that Serene ain't telling us. She must have briefed Serene on this job. Why can't she give us the same information? That ain't exactly, fucking up our free will, is it?
I shall ask whether or not we get an answer. Kind of get out.
I have a bad feeling about Serene, and I think this thing she sent us from is not for the Huntress. I think it's something that she wants for herself.
But she did say that the Huntress didn't tell her everything. Which she could be lying, of course. It could be nothing to do with it.
I think she's lying.
It wouldn't surprise me.
What she has done is she got us all the way from the Rune Keep and are still there, more or less. Which I don't like at all. But I have told her to get the fuck out of there, and if she comes back, she's going to be riddled with crossbow bolts. But I don't like it. Seems to me if we find this lady, we're going to find out what's important about her ourselves. Bring her back, give us time to talk to her.
Well, if it turns out it is not what the Huntress wishes, and she has her use, we can always not find her.
Fair enough.
But
have a chat with her, see what she says.
I shall ask. And I get out my horn, and that sounds really rude.
It does.
With 4 eyes.
I
You
guess
might
that
want to
like, sort of
explain. You might want to
statuette.
explain the horn.
The horn is the symbol of the huntress, like, essentially a hunter's horn. It is in all the iconography, etc. About as much as I can explain. So I get out my icon, I'll call it that, and I kind of lie back in my hammock, and I ask, Huntress, I know you cannot give me all the answers, nor do I seek them. But knowing our goal, knowing Serene's, are there things that she isn't telling us we need to be aware of?
I just sent a message to Adalbert. Direct from the Huntress.
Hello? Oh God! Unaware.
Sorry.
Meanwhile, Hrafia and Samar, could you roll a perception check, please?
I'm the only one on deck, by the way.
Oh yes, Hrafia went below. Beg your pardon. Then just Samar.
I see.
Oh,
Unless I'm looking through, he's just picking up the dice quickly before it stops. Unless I'm looking through the telescope.
I'm assuming you're using your telescope.
Yes.
So it's a normal roll. Sorry, I should point out that Zamar's eye is still healing from an accident.
So annoying. So not disadvantage then.
No.
That would be 18.
You see, in addition to what you're looking for, you also, as a natural precaution, have scanned the horizon. There have been boats on the horizon from time to time. There's plenty of ships around. But there is one that caught your attention, and that is a smudge on the horizon back from where you came. There is another ship following from Trilon.
I turn around to the captain. Captain, there's a ship over there. Can you tell if your sailors... Do they know which one it is?
I think we'd have to have a go with your spyglass. To be honest, it's a long way out. Can't see from here.
Okay, I reluctantly hand it over. Be sure to look after that thing. It is exceedingly expensive.
Right, she spends a moment just looking at the spyglass.
It's the end on the left that you look through.
Yeah, I know how to use it. I'm just checking it out. This is nice. This is worth quite a lot, like you said. I'll try not to drop it. And she puts it up to her eye. Yeah, it's a trireme. It's probably Serene's, I reckon. Black sails.
Okay, thank you for... I hold out my hand.
Oh, you want this back? All right, here you go.
You don't mind, thank you.
Yeah, she ain't gonna keep up with us. Don't worry. We're going about 3 times faster.
How long do you think it would take us to... we're at this second cove now, so how long do you think it would take us to reach, like, this moment? How long will it take us to reach here?
What, this spot? Another 30 minutes, probably.
30 minutes for her to reach here?
Yeah, we've only just set out, really. So
So, okay.
we'll lose her, don't worry. In fact, if we just nip round the edge there, we'll probably be out of sight.
Okay. I was just wondering how much if we find this boat, I think if you could make an assessment as to how long you think it would take Serene to catch up with us in that moment.
All right.
Know how much time we have in hand before she arrives. Meanwhile, I'll quickly dash down below and just holler out to Harathia. Oh, Harathia, Serene's following. She's some 30 minutes behind, but she clearly doesn't trust us. I don't think there's anything we need to do. Apparently, we're going faster than she is. So, well, anyway, I'm going back to the prow. I'll turn around and go back.
Before you go, Zamar.
Yes.
Harathia.
I'm leaning awkwardly down with my head through the through the hatch. I'm not going down below.
The huntress has replied in her cryptic way as always, but the mark Serena mentioned, it's for 2 people, not 1.
Right. Who's the other one?
I don't know, but what is the mark exactly? What is a mark?
The mark is the lady, or a mark is your target. Yeah. So if you're trying to, I don't know, kill someone, that's your mark. If you're trying to swindle someone, that's your mark. It's the one you're gonna fuck over.
Or if you're flirting, obsession is the one you're going to, but fuck.
Nah. That's
The victim. Victim.
victim, yeah, there you go.
Victim.
Yeah, thieving 101. It's ridiculous.
I'm not a thief, Zemma. I'm many things. Genius, philanthropist, model.
Thief of you yet, I'm sure. Perhaps no, not with those clothes. Okay, I'm going back on deck anyway. Why is it? I just have to ask. Why is it on Earth that all these gods have to speak so cryptically? Why could they just not make it plain? I'm sure you agree, Raphael. It seems to me to be utterly ridiculous that you go to all of this effort of communicating with your people and then you don't even give them clear instructions. That sounds...
What would life be, Zamar, if our path was laid before us? If we had no decisions, no choices?
I'm going back on deck.
Aldri smiles smugly.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
So I don't know Heretha, but there is a second mark. And if Serene didn't mention it before, it makes me wonder whether that's the thing that I would disagree with. She was looking at me throughout the meeting, which is understandable because I'm wonderful and beautiful and everything. But it makes sense if she was trying to hide something from me, that she'd then only tell us one mark.
All right. Well, I've practically told her that we're going to get her and bring her back. So, without that information, then we leave the other one behind. That's no fucking use to her.
Maybe that's why she's following us. If we can track better than she can, we're leading her straight to it.
We got any magic that can stick a hole in their hull? That'd be sweet.
I mean, the moon could shine through, but beyond that I can't just... I can't just magic holes.
Fire? You could set fire?
Yeah, I ain't that desperate to kill them all. That might be a bit of trouble that I ain't looking for. But making them go back, that would be sweet. I don't know, tear their sails or something, I don't know. Ah, fucking trireme, innit?
Little fire.
Nah. Hold
There's
that
fires
thought.
everywhere.
I might feel like that later on. Better idea. if we're going to board this ship, then we're going to have to check out who's on it. It should be obvious. It ain't going to be just some oarsman, is it?
I should add, I think I worded myself poorly before. The Huntress, it's not that there are 2 marks, but the mark is 4-2. If that means anything to you.
It ain't 2 marks, but a mark's 4-2. That don't make much sense.
The mark has 2 uses?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is it maybe not this lady? If she is just some fancy, la-di-da lady, perhaps she's got stuff. Perhaps it's something she owns.
Perhaps.
All right.
We know the treasures that others in her position have. We have. So perhaps.
Are we nearly there yet?
Depends where they've decided to lay low. Zaymar reckons they might be nearby, because there are only so many places they could stop that ain't rocks and shit.
Yeah,
All right.
so.
All right, so I was just waiting for the conversations to stop. So let's fast forward a little bit as you travel, and Zaymar, you do spot in one of the coves the back end of what looks like a trireme. The sails are still out, which is strange. And the ship itself is notably slightly pointing downwards. So as soon as you see that, you know that that is likely to be your target.
I'll have a look closer, see if there's any sign of any people, but I'll also signal to the captain that I'll sort of like just gesture over, say, the boat's over there. And then I'll shout down to Parathia. On deck, everyone! On deck!
Parathia will come up, but he'll scowl at Zaymar. A deeper scowl than normal,
It's rather enjoying being like I'm at the front of the boat. That means that I have the power.
All right. Amelia rings the bell. The ship starts pulling tightly against the coast, or as tightly as she dares, in order to swing around and try and stay under cover from the ship that you spotted. So the approach is basically to come up to the cove with the peninsula that is on your side, between you and the ship. And then once you're close enough to transfer to the sneak boat. Do you have any prep you want to do before you get on board the sneak boat?
I'm going to assemble my bow.
Okay.
Take that little box, assemble it.
Do you want to describe what that looks like?
Yeah, so I have a box that is essentially sort of maybe 2 foot at maximum, less than that. And inside this wooden box, it's a very plain wooden box, but it's the sort that's sort of curved so that it can hang on the side of a belt quite easily, or it can be slung over the back and be completely concealed and go under a cloak or something like that. When I open it up, there is a sort of central part, I forget what the term is, the riser, I think, and then I slot in 2 sort of bow parts into this thing and then screw them into place, and then I have myself a short bow, essentially. There is also a sort of secondary part to it in that it has some sort of unusual, it's more like to be out of character, it's more like a Turkish bow, So it has a different method of firing that it sort of it requires it to sort of go on the other side, but it means you can sort of it just means that you can use a much shorter bow, essentially. So it's a much more compact version than a normal bow, but it assembles together and screws together. So it takes me a couple of rounds to do so, but I now have myself a bow, so it's sort of portable.
All right. So Zamar gets ready, and then as the golden spike pulls up and the sails are furled and the anchor is dropped, the sneak boat, which is a very low-lying rowboat covered in all kinds of netting and cloth and leather to make it look a very strange shape, but still maintain a certain amount of ability to be propelled, is thrown over the side. You're going to have 4 crew with you to row you in. As soon as the sneak boat lands on the water, it does get a little bit wet. Waves are sort of crashing over the edge, so you're going to be wet feet sitting in this boat. And the advice from the crew is to keep your head down and sort of tucked in, so that you have as low a profile as possible. And then they'll start rowing. So
just before, go ahead, Chris.
I go to the front because I want to stick my spyglass out the front, so I can keep an eye on where we're going. Have a look, see if I can get it.
How long do we think we'll be in the rowboat getting there for?
To get around the peninsula and up to the ship, it'll take about 15-20 minutes.
Okay. I'll ask Amelia. Did you want to be? Do you want to keep in contact as we have before?
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. In which case, I'll have to cast Hall of Echoes now.
Huh.
So I'll include Amelia and the gang.
All right. So the gang at this point is obviously the 4 of you and Baha. Baha is standing watching Adalbert very closely. And as you cast the spell, do you want to describe briefly what it's like for the people who are connected to this spell?
Yeah. So the Hall of Echoes is a spell for to communicate with each other across up long distances. When people first get connected to the Hall of Echoes, there's a feeling of calm and sophistication washes over them, like they've just walked into the fanciest establishment in town. Simon's rolling his eyes at this point.
It's like the elevator with Muzak.
Yes.
Lights, jazz.
Just quick. Sorry, have you finished, Matt, or not?
Yes, you all feel sophisticated.
Chances are slim. As we set off, how long has it taken us to get there, and how long? In fact, I could ask her, I suppose.
Total time will be about 2 hours 20.
Right, and intercept time. Is that what you said?
To get to for Serene,
Yeah,
she'll be
have we
about
got?
4 hours behind. So yeah, you've got 4 hours at this point.
All right.
Yeah.
As a first message into the group, I'll just say, I can only hold this for an hour. We'll keep you updated, Amelia. Obviously, it will take us 20 minutes to get there. Hopefully, we'll be finish what we need to do in the remaining time. But if you hear nothing, it's because I can't hold us up any longer.
Yeah, it's all right. I know when an hour's up. It's not like I can't work that out.
Yeah, but we might also be dead. I'm saying this into the Hall of Echoes.
Well, if you're dying, can you let me know and I'll do something about it.
I shall endeavour to do so.
All right, cool.
Please rescue us quickly.
No, I was going to head the other way, actually.
I'll take out the way.
We should go. Hurry. We've got a tail.
Yes.
All right, let's try this again. One more time.
Woo!
Yeah.
It's a grid.
It's a grid, yeah. I thought I'd have to be displaying that all the way through, so I didn't want to show anything, but yeah. So what we see here is the back end of the tri-room. So a bit like last time, you'll be approaching from the rear. The angle and the kind of entry point is up to you. Because you're in a sneak boat, which is a relatively slow-moving vessel, you can be quite particular about where you get on. So if you want to, you could sneak all the way down the side. So just to describe this to the viewers, overall this is a 120 foot of wooden ship with 2 masts, the mainsail and the foresail. The mast is held tightly to the ship by this rigging here, and then in the centre of the ship is an area where you can climb stairs down for the top deck to a kind of mid deck, and the mid deck is where the rowers would all walk down the stairs and get into their rowing positions beneath the top deck. So this is effectively a 3-level ship with a top deck, mid deck, and a lower deck, which is accessed by a ladder here. The lower deck is basically the hull. Storage tends to be at the rear. These white lines represent oars. These are the steering oars. And towards the front, you've got the ram for the trireme. Although currently the ship isn't going to be ramming anything. It's listing and looks like it might be sinking. So the question is, how do you want to approach?
I think same as last time would be my suggestion. I think we should head for the back of the boat, the low area. I seem to remember we struggled to get on board, but it seems lower at the back there. Perhaps we should aim for there. I don't know whether the boat is... I'm going to have a quick look through the spyglass. Is the boat actually listing? Is the back half coming up out of the water at all, or is it still sinking?
Yes, so the front of the boat is clearly where it's holed. You're not sure port or starboard, but it's listing downwards towards the front. So the back is slightly higher than you would normally get with a trireme, but the back is still lower to get hold of than the top deck. The top deck is considerably higher than your rowboat.
Well, I suggest we head there then.
Yep.
Right.
Let's do
As
it.
before then, Zane, are you actually any good at climbing, or should I do it?
I'm perfectly capable of climbing.
Give him a boost.
All right.
The boost.
You climb up, drop a rope, and we'll come up behind you, assuming the coast is clear.
Indeed. I'll have a quick look through the... Do we get a better look at the boat from here? Can I have a quick look through the spyglass and see if I can see anybody on board? Any lights? Anything?
Roll perception. Normal.
I've basically got mud on my spyglass. That was a 1. So, total of 7.
It seems like some of the substance that Amelia tends to have in her mouth might have got on her fingers, and When she was checking it over, maybe she got some on the lens. You might have to clean it.
I am incredibly frustrated. I'd use the edge of my cloak and just start mopping it. I'm sorry, it's not fine.
It is worth pointing out that as it's dusk and light is fading quickly, when you get to the ship, it'll be dark. For some of you, that matters more than others. So those with dark vision will not be affected. Those who do not have dark vision, there are no lights on board.
Okay. Well. Okay.
I got a, hooded lantern, so I can just put the hood down and have that ready to help me out.
Okay.
I'm going to try and let my eyes adjust to the darkness so that at least I can just climb on board. So even though it's dark, I'm hoping that we might get some low night light kind of thing, as opposed to it being pitch black and I can't see anything. Or do you think it's going to be absolutely pitch black?
It'll be pitch black. There's no light source nearby.
So shall I scramble up instead? I can see, and I'm quite good at that sort of thing.
Just before you do, Ellie, do we not think it's odd that we've been sent to capture someone and their boat is sinking and there have been no lights lit as night has fallen?
Oh yeah, that's suspicious as hell.
What are we going to do, though?
Are there any lights on the shore? Sorry, Matt.
No, there are no light sources visible from where you are. So, just to describe the scene, you're kind of ducked down, looking over the edge of your little rowboat. The oars are clipping into the water in a regular fashion, but making as little noise as possible. You're rising up and down on these fairly choppy waves. You're a bit protected in the cove, so it's not as bad as out at sea. And you can just see this dark shape of the trireme ahead, but the light is fading quickly. By the time you get there, it'll be pitch black, and there are no light sources visible from where you are.
It's a trap, obviously, but...
Or some things happened to the crew already.
I think this is the more likely possibility, but even so, it's like we would sacrifice. If we go in and I try to get on board and I can't see anything, then we won't be able to understand what's there. If we send
I can see.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you any good at climbing then?
Not bad.
Just when you get on board, just try to be quiet.
I can do that.
Yes, really.
Just before you go, Ellie, one last thing.
Not you. He'd like to, but he...
Harathia, I wonder whether this is where that distinction comes in. I said my words earlier were wrong. That it wasn't 2 people, the mark was for 2. What if it isn't for people at all?
Alright, I'm listening.
I don't know. I just find it's odd we've been sent after a ship, and with a person on a ship, and when we get there, it looks like a ghost ship.
Yeah, this whole thing screams corruption. This ain't right.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Krath is going to turn to the sailors that are on this sneak boat.
Mm-hmm.
You lot, this don't look right. Now, when we're on board, you got a choice. Either lash up your boat and follow us, and we'll keep you hidden and safe, or you take your sneak boat somewhere else and hide whilst we're on there.
All right, Pat. Probably best. We'll flip it and stay under.
All right, watch out though. It could be shit underwater. That's happened before.
All right. Well, it's up to you. You're the commander.
Well, you know your job best, so you choose.
All right. Well, if you're worried about stuff in the water, then I guess we'll just lash it and wait. I think we should stay on board if in case you need to get away in a hurry.
All right, but you'll have a rope up to the boat if you need to.
Yeah. We'll lash it at the back.
Fair enough.
All right.
Ellie, as
Yeah.
you go up, I'd like to, just in case, offer you some protection against possible corruption. It won't last long, so let me know just before you go and I'll do it.
I'm going now, and and before I go, I'm going to say, Doreen, please guide me. Please, take care of me as I climb up, and then, yeah.
And just before she goes, I cast resistance to corruption.
Yeah. And that was a guidance, by the way.
All right. So the back of the ship is a curved shape and quite low, as I mentioned, with effectively a wooden wall for the main structure. So the easiest thing to do actually is to step off the rowboat onto the back of the ship. Because of the listing, it's slightly higher than the rowboat, so you'll need to sort of roll over or step over.
Yeah.
But that's straightforward enough, so you can get on board.
Okay, no deck checks. Okay.
Not for getting on board, no.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Harathia, do you want the sneak boat just to remain next to where Alithia's got on board?
Yeah, if that's what they're going to do.
All right.
Yeah, so she's going to drop a rope down. Well, not a. In my head, it was a bigger distance.
All right. So effectively,
they're going to have to be lashed to the side anyway, aren't they? So
yeah. I should also point out that there is a dire wolf sank into the back of this rowboat, looking really upset and sad and covered in wet fur. And Baha, the quiet guard who's watching Adalbert. All right. So yeah, getting onto the back is easy for you, Alithia. Getting up onto the top deck is more of a struggle. So you can either use acrobatics or athletics to climb up.
Acrobatics, please.
Okay.
I also have my guidance, so that's a +4. So that's where's my... Sorry, plus a d4 even, and not +4. So that is... 15.
15? Okay. So, with a bit of experience, you've done this before. You remember from last time that the trireme tends to roll quite heavily in certain waves, so you sort of kept an eye on the sea, timed it so that you climbed over when it wasn't rolling, and you leap over onto you pull yourself over and push off and land on the top deck. Fine. No problems. The top deck is quite a simple deck of planks. There is almost nothing on the top deck. It's plain. There's a few ropes down this end, but apart from that, there's no visible signs of anything. However, it is nighttime now. You have limited range with your dark vision, and you need to roll a perception check.
Okay. Yeah, oh, that's not bad actually. That's actually very nice. 21.
21, wow. Okay. So the first thing you do notice is a bit further along the deck. So I'll put a ping down. So if I do... Yeah, so about here. There is what looks like a smear of what you would suspiciously regard to be blood.
There's been blood here. I think you were right. It's been attacked. But I'll say it in my head.
Not in the... Are you saying that in the Hall of Echoes?
Yeah, that's in the Hall of Echoes. So in my head, I'm not saying it aloud. I'm being quiet.
I usually am right, even when I do not wish to be.
Sorry, quick question. Does it take an action to speak in the Hall of Echoes?
It does, yes.
Yeah.
We know it's been attacked by Serene, so don't assume it.
Do I see anything other than the blood?
There's nothing else of note from where you are. You can hear the creaking of the ship as it rolls in the waves. There are some items, it sounds like, loose, rolling around, crashing in the hull beneath.
Yeah, I'm going to go down.
Okay. Which deck do you want to head to?
Well, which deck am I on at the moment?
You're on the top deck. So you've got this. So the mid deck is only this bit. It doesn't extend out. In fact, there are just rowing planks stretched out on the sides below.
I'll go to the hull.
You're going down to the hull? Okay. So you're going to take the ladder and go down here. All right.
Before I go down, I'll say, I'm going down. Wish me luck.
Right, Rathia's going to get on the back then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone immediately jumps on board.
Be careful, Ellie. Even if the blood was from Serene's attack, you'd have thought with the rain and the surviving crew that have washed it off, I think there is definitely something afoot.
I'm going to light my bullseye lantern, but with the shutter down.
Okay.
So,
Build it with my cloak while I do so.
just, I can't remember. Do dire wolves have night vision of any kind?
No, they don't.
Okay, fair enough. I'll keep a close eye on Brian then. Well, not that I can see him in the dark. I'll keep a hand on him.
I seem to remember you could make lights. I don't wish you to do it just yet, but if anything happens, can you immediately, as your first task, create some light?
I can do that.
Wait, Elithia, it seems to me, if you can scout the length of the ship quickly, we can tell if anyone's here. If there ain't no one here, and we can get some lights going.
Aye, aye, Captain or Commander.
If Ellie's doing the bottom deck, I can do the rowing deck. Save some time.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So I kind of look to Baha and then try and climb up.
All right. Baha nods and leans forward and holds out an arm for you to help you up. Roll acrobatics or athletics, up to you.
Good. 11.
11. Okay. With Baha's push, you struggled a bit and your hand slipped on the top deck as you tried to hold it, but you managed to clamber over. Baha jumps up behind you and moves to the side once he's up. What about Rathia and Zaymar?
When the coast is clear, it makes no sense to have to be down here, so I guess I'll climb up. As long as I can do so, I'm not looking. Yeah, remembering where the oars are, I would just climb up and then quietly feel my way round to where the oars go, so that there is at least some cover there.
All right. So this is where you're heading. Harathia, what about you?
Yeah, well, he knows that the coast is clear just up there, so he's gonna manhandle Brian up there. Okay. You know, because he sort of made a mess of it last time.
All right, you almost throw him up onto the top deck. He sort of snarls a little bit at you. He's pretty upset at this point. He hates how wet he is at the moment.
Understandable.
But he's not making any actual noise. And he lands on top and immediately sneaks around to the side here. Meanwhile, Zaymar... Sorry, go ahead.
I'll haul myself up and follow him.
Okay, cool. Zaymar was a little bit ahead of you, so Zaymar, do you want to roll acrobatics or athletics to get up?
I'd 8.
Which were you attempting?
I was Acrobatics, definitely not.
All right, having experienced climbing up the back of a trireme before, you sort of pick your foothold carefully, and you're trying to get it into this little gap between the edge of the structure in front of you and the railing that surrounds the back of the ship. And as you do so, you sort of push off, and your foot just slips in the water, and you find you've got no purchase, and you get an elbow up onto the top deck, and you're sort of half on, half off. So you'll need to either pull yourself up or start again.
I will lower myself back down again, take out the corner of my cloak, slightly be annoyed, and then mop the water out of my footholds, and then try again.
All right, so roll another acrobatics, and meanwhile, Horatio, do you want to roll your athletics to get up?
12.
All right.
Rubbish roll, but still.
Yeah, Horatio, you almost sort of just... it's like getting onto a chair. You just sort of roll over and pull up, and it's like no problems at all.
10.
10. It's a bit hard for you, but having used the exact same position before, I'm going to say that the DC is a bit lower than last time, and you pull yourself up. But I do need someone to roll a luck dice. So this is just something I do where the DM has something that's a bit random, and I want the group to share in their fate.
Unlucky 13.
To seal our own fate.
Seal your own
13.
fate. 13, okay. Although in this case, it's not quite the luck that they might think it is. All right, so... Yeah. As you all start making your way across the decks, and Alithia, as you get to the bottom of this ship into the hull, there is a lurch as the trireme, which is currently anchored at both ends, suddenly shifts and then catches on the anchors and rolls slightly, and Baha is thrown to the side and smashes against the oar here and takes a small amount of damage. That is the downside of being on this ship. Meanwhile, Alithia, you were first to get down into the hull.
Was there anything unnatural about that movement? It's just caused him to slip.
Roll nature.
I'm going to do it, but no, good, excellent, rubbish, 3 or less. I'm not sure. I don't know what my modifier is.
It's up to you. The ship moved. I don't know how much you really care.
No, not enough to make something up.
Okay. Yeah, so Baha takes a small amount of damage, and Alithia, as you get to the bottom, so the hull of a trireme, it does have quite a sharp angle right in the centre, but if you're to the left and right, it's relatively flat. You find yourself looking up to the rowing positions above you, the planks and the pieces of wood that they use for leverage. The hull of this ship is pretty empty. There are barrels and things behind you. It looks like storage barrels for food of some kind, maybe water. And there's a few crates and things pushed to the back. But they look really old and weathered. Nothing special draws your attention. However, looking forwards, so towards the centre of the ship, where you would expect people to be in their rowing positions, you see body after body of sailors thrown together in the hull, their arms out, their legs out, torn by something, blood everywhere, and it looks like the crew is all here. They're just all dead.
Couple of things. Can I check
And is there any kind of chance of like life? If there isn't, how recently did they die? And you said they were torn, so can I figure out what might have caused this? Is it like, is this like a kind of, an arrow or a sword, or is it like some sort of animal?
Okay, so
What is it?
you have a choice. From where you are, you can use perception just to look around and try and get answers to your questions from where you are, or you can move closer and start investigating.
Perception.
Okay. All right, roll perception.
Same
That's
old
brilliant.
well.
17.
17. Yeah, your perception is pretty good. You've seen battle injuries many times, so you're very aware of the sort of things that swords, arrows, halberds, the sort of injuries that you'd expect. They're typically puncture wounds with some slashing. What you're looking at doesn't look like that. You can see even from a distance that some of their flesh has been torn off. So it looks like something has gouged rather than punctured or slashed. There are also fragments of limbs and things like that strewn around as if they were torn off or torn apart. And from the scattered arrangement of these bodies, it's hard to say. With the ship moving, everything's been moving, but you think it's been a while, and as you sort of assess the situation, you begin to smell the bodies. It's been quite a while. We're talking about half a day.
Yeah. Okay. And do I get any sort of idea what animal it might have been then?
You'd need to actually investigate to do that. From where you are, something that either has claws and bite or something like that.
Could I, rather than investigate, could I do a medicine check instead?
You could do a limited one. You'd be at disadvantage because
No,
you're just scanning.
I can go up I can go up close.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you
I'll do it.
reported any of this, Mads?
Nope.
Thought not.
Well, that's going on.
Yep.
Can I, noticing what's happened, can I rush over to Baha,
Yep.
please? And, Baha, are you okay? And I give him some of my good berries, and I just say, you need to be careful. You're meant to be looking after me, not the other way around. I'm going to flash him a little smile.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I slipped or something. I don't know. It's annoying, but thanks.
But you're okay?
I'm fine. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
There was good berries. Oh, never mind. It's fine. Thank you, Alethea. I'll put in the Hall of Echoes. Thank you for not giving me any good berries, Alethea.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Rathia has some.
Yeah, you can have mine. I won't fucking need them.
You don't need.
Also, there are lots of dead bodies down here, and it's an animal.
Is there any an animal? Fuck it. Right. I'm gonna open up my lantern. It's not a hooded lantern. Actually, I had a look. It is a bullseye, and I'm gonna get down there.
All right. So there's a lot of movement going on. So Alethea, you were approaching. So you're in the hole. So while your token is here, you're actually below these stairs. So you're heading towards the bodies. Horathia, you've got your lantern, and you're heading where? The hole or the mid deck?
I'll go where Alethea is going.
Okay.
But I want to sweep the beam of my lantern around, not to point at these lot, but just to scan, the shadowy areas, where an attacker might come from.
Okay, so you're going to start climbing down the ladder. Brian lopes after you and sort of watches as you start climbing down the ladder. He'll jump down later. Meanwhile, Zaymar, what are you doing?
I'm going to slightly. I've got the hooded lantern. Excuse me, I've got it mixed up. So I'm going to unhood my lantern just slightly, so that it casts dim light in a 5-foot radius around me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to gradually crawl forwards on the rightmost outside and head towards that dark spot that Leslie mentioned. At least I hope she mentioned.
Are you going into the hull as well, or?
No, I'm staying on deck.
Okay. Oh, the blood, you mean?
Yes, there was blood down the
Gotcha. All right.
bow.
So you're heading that direction. All right, cool. All right. Everyone roll initiative.
No. That's terrible.
Yep. 7.
Okay.
7.
Well,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going first again when I don't.
What did you get? Sorry, Seymour.
14.
14. Okay. Alrighty. Ooh. That's not going to help. Okay. Okay. So this is a surprise round, which means that for this round you won't be acting. But as there's, well, this means you won't be acting this round. So, Elithia, as you walk forwards, you suddenly out of the darkness, there are flashes of bolts, crossbow bolts, heading your way.
Not it.
Did you say not it?
No, I said that's about it. I'm gonna be like,
All right.
If memory serves correctly, you and crossbow bolts don't get on.
no.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so 1 miss, 122. That definitely hits.
Yep, that hits.
118
That hits.
and 117.
Also hits.
So 3 hits.
I think I'm going down.
You take 18 points of piercing damage.
Yep, I'm dead. That is me done.
You're not dead. You're unconscious.
I'm unconscious, yeah.
All right. Okay, so as I said, that's a surprise round. So there's no actions from you, which means that they get to go again as they're at the top of the round. Okay. All right. So for the rest of you, there was a... Did you yell in the Hall of Echoes?
Yeah.
So there was a yell in the Hall of Echoes, and you
But
heard...
that's an action, isn't it? So I wouldn't have been able to take an action. So I would have just literally screamed out aloud.
That's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, you would have heard the thud of Elithia hitting the hull as she goes down. And one of the crossbow bolts missed and hit the wooden structure, so you heard this dong as the bolt slammed into the wood behind Elithia. So you are aware that something is pretty bad has happened. Brian is actually first, and is going to leap down, following you right here, and then head straight for Alithia. So that's 5, 10. So he's probably going to stay there. And basically runs over and nuzzles your head and like licks your cheek. There's not much else that a direwolf can do, unfortunately, but he's standing over you at this point. Okay, so Zamar, I think, yeah. Zamar, you're up.
Do I presume that I hear that, or hear the sound of it?
You did, yes.
Okay, so the squares that we're on, right, they are 5 foot, correct?
Correct.
So what I want to do is, the hooded lantern that I have is reasonably sturdy. So what I want to do is to, I think I can just do this, basically. I can put things down. So what I plan to do is to unshield the hooded lantern and sling it down the steps onto the mid deck. Okay?
So sort of around here?
Yeah, so I just want to do that as I'm going past. So what I want to do is travel all the way down the, as quickly as I possibly can. So I'll use my full movement all the way down. And then what I'm going to do is to hide from that point. And then once I've hidden, I'm then going to, once I have, so that should be, yes, that should be like, it says 30 feet, so that's 6.
All right, I won't make it 30 feet wide, but
Yeah,
we'll use that as like just to remind me that that's light.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, you didn't make it small. Like, yeah, yeah. So and now what I want to do now is I'm hiding, and then I'm going to run the length down while stealth, and end up to try and go down the other end of the boat. Basically, if I think that they shot from a distance, I'm going to try and go down the other end.
Okay. What is your movement rate? I forget.
30.
30, okay, cool. So you get to there, and then you're hiding, and then you're going another 30, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, as a bonus. So then I'm going another 30 as a bonus action.
All right, cool.
Like roll for stealth.
Not yet. I'll ask you for that roll when you need it. All right, so that was Amar. Harathia, you're up. Are you muted?
I am muted.
Okay.
I sent you a little message.
All right. Cool.
So that's one thing, and I'm going to move my full movement, which is only visible 30. Now, Alithia was down below. Is that right?
She's in the hull, so there's 3 levels to the ship. She's at the bottom.
Yeah, and obviously that's where Brian's gone as well.
Yep.
So I'll head on that level, 30 feet, and I'm going to shine the lantern ahead of me. And well, if I move my full limit and I have my lantern shining, which illuminates with bright light a 60-foot cone and a dim light for another 60 feet.
The entire ship would be lit, yeah, if you do that.
Okay, so I want to know what I see before I decide what I'm going to do.
Okay, so yeah, you probably so. Yeah, so as soon as you do that, you're going to light it up for you, Zamar, as well. So you will get to see this. The only person who won't be aware of this is Adalbert. So Adalbert, you don't have this information.
By the way, I should point out that I'm on the top deck. So
Yeah, but the reason that you do see this is there are 4 elves in very simple clothing, tunics and breeches, darkened clothing, covered in mud and leaves and all kinds of black decorations, with a simple sort of moleskin hat pulling their hair back, tucked in to a pile of bodies here, and hiding behind that pile. However, they were hiding, assuming that it was black night, and suddenly their position is a little bit exposed by the light that illuminates the ship. They are in the hull, but because of the angle here, Zamar, you can see straight down, and so you can see through the rowing position. This mid-deck is open to the hull. You can actually step through, so you can see all the way down there.
That's very handy.
So yeah, that's the information. You've gone 5, 10, 15, just over 15 feet at this point, right here.
Okay, well, standing just in front of Bran, I'll get my crossbow out and shoot at the nearest one.
Okay. Roll to hit.
Right. Okay, so heavy crossbow, but I'm using it one-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Unless that gives me a penalty, because I'm not having that.
No, it's fine.
Okay, that's 14.
All right, so as you run up to Alithia, you're sort of holding this lantern, and it's swinging, and while it has lit them up from where the bodies are, the light sort of passes over them briefly, and as you turn to shoot, your aim is slightly misjudged because of the light moving so much, and your bolt whistles over their heads. One of them ducks down. You just barely miss, but you do miss. Right.
Can I make sure that I'm standing in front of Bran, shielding him?
Sure. I'll put you here.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, cool. Adalbert, you're up.
Can I quickly look to see if Baha is okay? He said it, but
Yeah. So you quickly glance at him. He's fine. He didn't even take a good brie.
Your best
he
friend's
took a
dying
good
here.
brie. He took a good brie, whether he wanted to or not.
Did you force one on him?
Well, I gave him. I gave
No,
him.
he's taken the berries. He just hasn't consumed them.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna look at him and then look down and then just say, "My friends," and just kind of get down and get as close to Ellie as I can.
Okay.
Kind of low down. And I cast Cure Wounds.
Ooh, cool. All right. So roll your healing.
Ooh, 8.
Ooh.
Yeah. Plus my spell casting. That would be 13.
Wow.
Wow.
I know.
Look at you with your secret healing abilities.
Yeah. I mean, generally people look after me, so I don't bother doing it for everybody else.
I just thought you did 30. You healed 30.
13.
13.
Oh my god! I was just like, bloody hell! Adalbert, the
Yes.
or whatever.
Floats down in a halo of light.
All right. Do you want to describe what that looks like when you heal Olivia?
Essentially, I just kind of pull her close to me and cradle her, because she's the only friend I have. And I just kind of, as I cast the spell, I'm just kind of thinking, no, you, not Ellie, not Ellie, not Ellie. So I just kind of put my hands, kind of on, essentially wrapped around her, so on all the shoulders but crossed arms, and yeah, kind of cradle and rock, and just give her the warmth of healing.
All right. So, Alithia, as you're being gently rocked by Adalbert and your consciousness begins to return, you get this papery tongue sensation on the side of your face from Bran, who's been licking your cheek, and you begin to get that sense of all the pain and the uncomfortable sudden healing go through you, but that is where we'll end the session.
God.
And we'll start with Alithia returning to consciousness.
I hate crossbow bolts.
You really do, don't you?
Yeah, for the viewers, this is not the first time that has been downed by crossbow bolts.
Should I feel bad about this? Nah.
That's what happens if you go to the wrong place in the ruined keep at the wrong time. Get shot with crossbows.
All right.
Man.
Well, if you
That
have
was so
time, I have questions.
Lovely, Matt. That was so lovely.
That was beautiful.
Seriously, I know.
About time I repaid the favour, let's be honest.
Oh, that was so lovely. I mean, to be fair, I have killed you. Like,
Yeah.
knocked you unconscious. So,
Yeah.
you know.
But you've also healed me many times.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Oh, especially after blowing him up with a thunder wave.
yes, yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, that was really lovely, though. Bless. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have time, I have questions. So to the audience, if you have anything you want to ask the players or me, then please do pop it into chat. And also we have an email address at ruinedkeep@gmail.com. You can email us with questions if you'd rather not talk about it in chat. Meanwhile, I have a question for Mr. Roberts. Serene doesn't seem to be Harathia's best friend. Is she his number one enemy?
Ooh. I wouldn't like to elevate her so high. He really, really doesn't like her. However, any member of the Forgotten Tribe is a bigger enemy to him than Serene. So I don't want to give her the status, but yes, he really, really does not like her.
All right. We've got a question in chat from Fitzackley, but I'll get to that when it's Alithia's turn. So a question for Mr. Harris. After seeing the strange creature, Zamar's mind immediately turned to defending the keep. Is that how he typically thinks?
Yes. Paranoia is first, always. With Zamar. Yeah, so the first thing, having encountered various creatures before, the first thing that he was worried about, in fact we discussed it, was the defense of the keep in the lower levels. And while we haven't been there yet on the stream, there are a network of caves coming up from a large hidden cove below. So a lot of the creatures that we've encountered, it's like that's the natural place if something was going to provide a sneak attack on the ruined keep. So he immediately thought that if there's one found on the outskirts, maybe more and they're crabs, they're likely to come up from the sea. So he thought immediately that these things would be scuttling up through the corridor that leads all the way up. But fortunately, there is a portcullis between here and the cove. So, yeah, it's mostly defensive. Self-preservation, especially because his quarters are right there below. He's rather defensive about that particular area. So.
All right, cool. So a question for Mads. This is from Fitzackley in chat. So Fitzackley said, great stream. Thank you very much, Fitzackley. What are the properties of good berries and where are they from?
So Alethea, as you probably know, has a connection with nature and a connection with the gods, the primordial gods. And as a part of that, she's able to channel their powers, and she is able to produce these very potent berries, kind of holding the power of the gods, that hold incredible nourishment and also healing properties. So one of these berries is equivalent to enough food for a day, and it also gives you, hit points essentially. And she, in order to do this, she basically, any magical power that she's got left over for the day goes into making good berries. And because the day before there was nothing else going on, she just kind of, pumped it all into that.
Cool. All right, a question for Matt from me. Considering Adalbert's distinguished nature, what does he think of Horathia?
Is it meant to be a polite chat, Simon? Horath is a bit rough around the edges.
There is so much compacted and buried in that short answer. All right.
He's quite rough in the middle, to be fair, as well.
Yes.
I think he's like a marshmallow on the inside.
A rather burnt, crusty marshmallow.
Exactly.
And inside that is a knife. Yeah. All right.
I think it's worth adding
Sorry.
that Adalbert's stuck around. I mean, let's be honest, most of that is because Ellie's here. But he has stuck around. I won't go further than that, but I think it's something that needs to be considered along with that answer.
Interesting. Okay. So the next question is for me, and it is not from me. This is a question from a colleague of mine, and the question is, there's a continuum between totally railroading players down a prepared narrative and completely winging it. Where would you say your game falls on this continuum? I gave a quick answer at the time, but I thought it was an interesting question. So my quick answer is, 70-80% is prepared. But that's the simple answer. The more complex answer is, if you have players who are engaged and want to find things out and really want to work out what's going on in the world and have an impact, you don't need to have a kind of railroad narrative at all. You can in fact just leave little breadcrumbs knowing that the players will follow them, and you don't have to force them down their throats. You don't have to worry about it. It just happens. So that's my answer. It's actually, I would say there's a lot of preparation and then almost 100% winging it, because you prepare, you leave the breadcrumbs where they are and then just see where the players are going. So it's kind of a slightly different approach. But interesting question. Thank you for asking.
Is that harder?
Sorry?
Is that harder?
Yes. You have to do a lot more preparation than you would otherwise, because you need to be ready for the funny angles that players go at stuff.
And especially need to adopt all the nonsense we spout about things.
Yeah, that as well.
It's got to be more satisfying, though, because if you're railroading people, you either just flat out tell them, sorry, you can't do that, we have to come up with all these reasons why they can't do it that don't cheese the players off. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not sure I could ever run a campaign that was railroaded because it would annoy me too much. Just for that reason.
From the years of playing with you, Simon, it's more like a sandbox in terms of computer game style. It's more like a GTA game or something like that, rather than a level by level player or something like that. It's much more of a sandbox, and you've already prepared what's in all the rooms. You just don't know which order we're going to go and wander in and die in.
It's funny you go to GTA rather than Skyrim or something.
Yes, as you go along in the Golden Spike, you wiping out people.
Yeah, well, I just like mugging people out of their horses, and that's Red Dead Redemption. Okay, never mind. Ignore me.
All right, so moving on to a question for Mr. Roberts from me. Alithia suggested at one point Horathia should try being nice. What would that look like?
I think in a funny sort of way, he sort of thinks that's what he's been doing to this lot. Because they're, if Horathia is rough around the edges, they're like a bunch of softies. And if he treated him like the sort of seasoned, hardened criminals that he's used to, Adalbert wouldn't still be around. And I don't know what Ellie would have done, but I'm pretty sure she'd have followed him. So in his head, he is being nice.
All right. Question for Mr. Harris from me. Zaymar came across as very diplomatic throughout the last episode. Does he ever get impatient with people?
All the time. It's an inward utter frustration. It's a wonder more of it doesn't leak to the surface. Every time he's watching something that the others are doing, he can't help himself. He's constantly, oh, if I was in that position, I wouldn't be doing that. Oh, I wouldn't do that. And then, probably shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this. So it's just very, very fortunate that he never says any of this out loud. It's really throwing things at him. But he's constantly, and you'll probably see it in the reaction in my face when I'm in Zaymar. It's like whenever they're doing anything, I'm often wincing from, especially when conversations are going on. So yeah, it's like, he always rightly and often sometimes wrongly thinks that he knows better about how he should go about doing something, and it has been a constant source of surprise that we haven't ended up more dead as far as he's concerned. Having said that, we probably wouldn't have got anything done either. So it's a constant source of surprise how well things tend to turn out. Yeah, although present circumstances accepted.
Yeah. All right. Question for Mads from me. What did the flower crown signify last episode to Alithia?
They were just presents for her friends, really. Like, it's something pretty, it's something nice. For her, like, flowers are gifts that she gives to everyone. It's how she makes friends, rightly or wrongly. So, yeah.
All right. Question from Matt. Adalbert seems very comfortable with Alithia. Is she the sort of person he tends to hang out with?
Funny enough, probably not. Alithia is very, very intelligent. She's very knowledgeable about kind of her areas of expertise, so animals and nature and wildlife and plants, etc. All the flora and fauna. And he and Ellie can kind of have those conversations, but unlike Albert, Ellie doesn't have any of the delusions of grandeur or the aspirations for recognition and that need to be loved. So I think while he wouldn't choose to hang out with her otherwise, his relationship with her is probably more real than the ones he has with people he would hang out with.
That's a deep answer. All right. Question for Mr. Roberts. What's the biggest pain for Rathia being so, well, big?
The biggest pain of him being big?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I've got to explain something about Rathia to answer the question.
Go ahead.
Because, first of all, he wouldn't see any problem with it. And secondly, his whole way of operating is to be big and obvious. He sort of made that into his signature move. So he stands at the front. He makes loud noises. He draws attention to himself because he believes he can take it. Whatever anyone throws at him, he'll take it and give back worse. So being small is not a desirable quality for him. There's nothing that he sort of thinks, oh, I wish I could be small because that would be easier. It doesn't compute at all. It's all about, look at me, I'm the hard guy. Come on, bring it on. And you can't do that if you're small and people don't notice you.
No banged foreheads, no blankets too small.
Difficult finding clothing.
That's all cosmetic, fluff. I mean, he'll sleep on hard rocks without a blanket. Who gives a, that sort of thing.
Just plump
Doesn't matter, does it?
Just plump up your dire wolf before you go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, a question for Mr. Harris. What's Zaymar's favourite colour? If Zaymar could wear any clothing, what colour would he prefer?
His favourite colour, let's see. He's quite fond of metal and stuff like that. His favourite colour, I would say, is not a colour. It would be silver. He loves silver.
So clothes decorated in silver, perhaps?
It's it would be a little bit noticeable, distinguishable. He reckons he would probably definitely carry off sort of dark clothing with silver braiding, but that would be a little bit. He would never do that for fear that Adalbert would critique him. So it would be far too dangerous. So no, yeah, his favorite, like I say, his favorite color is silver, with black a close second behind. Yes.
Did he lie to Alithia in the past then?
Huh?
Did he lie to Alithia?
Oh, one said green.
Yeah, green and orange.
Can't trust what Zayma says.
All right, well, before you all fall out over colour, Mads, what seems like Serene isn't popular. What does Alithia think of her?
Alithia thinks she's disgusting. So Alithia and Serene have only met in very adversarial circumstances where essentially Serene was trying to kill them. And ever since she's been like kind of corrupted and she's not pleasant to be around, and she feels like she puts on this face, and she's basically the antithesis of Alithia, which is fine, because she can accept that, but like Serene's not even someone that Alithia particularly would respect, because she's just so sort of like, so I think she feels there's not an honesty about her. Like, even if someone, like Adalbert or, the royalty, they're very up themselves and like kind of, very, that they can be quite catty, if that makes sense. But there's an honesty to that.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, and final question for Matt. If Adalbert wants to turn the gang into a university or library, what job would he give Horathia?
Custodian? Maybe bouncer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Horathia would kind of pass any of the teaching elements, or know how to take care of the books or the artifacts or the people. So he can, when there's a nice big statue of Adalbert outside, kind of shining the way for everyone with kind of the hand of the flame torch lighting the way like a giant lighthouse, Horathia can clean the stone boots of the statue.
Wow.
Oh dear. Horathia knows how to take care of people, all right?
Yeah.
All right, and on that bombshell, we'll end the stream. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your questions. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we get to see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.